Hi everyone, my name is Utkarsh and I'm the founder of Network Capital. On Network Capital, we run a wide range of cohort-based courses. The most popular ones is called I Don't Know What I Want to Do with My Life Fellowship. And today it's my pleasure to welcome Shalini, who's written a fascinating book around the same topic. So Shalini, welcome to NC.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Utkarsh. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation. Tell us a bit about yourself and the book that you've written, which is Taking the Market by Storm.
Yeah, quickly, I started off my career as an engineer. I come from, one of these South Indian families where always knew I was going to go become an engineer, and that's who I became. I started off my career with Fidelity Investments, had a very short corporate stint, and then I did work for a thought leadership platform, Inc., which you know of. Worked there for a couple of years. And then from there on, I think I've really been mostly in the startup ecosystem and venture capital ecosystem for the last 7, 8 years. Worked with several early stage startups and startup accelerators, and did work with 500 Startups, which is a Valley based fund. Worked with them where I led India investments and portfolio. And tried to do my own tech startup after that, called Epic.one in the rewards and loyalty space. And unfortunately, with the COVID and pandemic, that unfortunately didn't take off. But yeah, I think I ended up writing a book about different phases of my career, especially when I was lost in transition.
Hmm.
And yeah, so the book is called Clueless at 30. And the book essentially captures the young millennial anxiety in different phases of our lives and different phases of career, especially when we start asking the tough questions, right? Questions like, what am I born to do? Or what is my passion? Or what is it that really excites me? Or what's my purpose in life? I think there comes a time when most of us ask these questions. You could be in your 20s or 30s, but then we always do ask these questions. And I did as well. And it's been a roller coaster ride for me. And yeah, that's what the book is all about. The book is about my experiences and my friends and people from the ecosystem. Yeah, so it is, yeah, it is all of it put together. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when were you writing this book, or when did the idea of a book first jump to you?
So this was so one of my friends, whom you might know, Varun Agarwal. So he and I were chatting about what to do next after I was moving out of venture capital, and he started saying, maybe you should write, because I was quite active on LinkedIn back then, and then I was like, no, I'm no writer, and then we started jamming about ideas, and then. It took me about 4 months, 5 months to start writing. So this was almost 2.5 years ago, and yeah, about 2 years ago, I got the book deal, and yeah, it's mostly been a labor of love. I had to really work for it for a long time and stay at it to get it done. Yeah, but the process of writing, I wouldn't say was very long. I think it's, the getting to the version zero is tough, but then probably what we're reading now is the seventh version. But yeah, so it did take some time. A lot of people have asked me, how long did you take to write the book and so on. I said, writing the book was the easier part. I think figuring out what to write about is the tougher part. So which I'm guessing you concur as well. You've written a fabulous book too.
Yeah, writing takes some time, but thinking about it, the research, the editing, the structuring, that's I think more intellectually draining. I would say it's also a lot of fun. So I'm curious, how did you decide what to write about?
So when I was in college, I graduated and I started off with a corporate career, and I had a great start, and I constantly felt stuck, right? And I said, I followed the blueprint for life. I did everything right.
Hmm.
Why is it that I'm still feeling stuck? And I changed so many jobs. I thought if I'm like in a TED like community, if I work there, I'm surrounded with ideas, I'm going to have my aha moment. and then venture capital and startups. And then I'm constantly looking for things where I can really find myself. Of course, I enjoyed working there,
Sure.
and I made some amazing people from around the world, but I always felt like I wanted more, but I didn't know what my starting point was. So I went through all these books and talks, and I signed up to these programs where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go figure this out, right? And all these books, like, like Ikigai, and so many books are saying, oh, at the center lies your life's mission, there's passion, and you figure out resources. And then I'm like, but I don't know what's my passion to begin with, right? So how do I actually go figure out the purpose in my life when I don't know what's my starting point? And then when I realized that, what, as and when I'm looking at myself or people around me, more than half the people are clueless and they don't know what their starting point is. And then there are only books and resources out there actually talking about unleashing really life's potential, only when you know what your starting point is. So it's actually that's what inspired me to write this. It's for all those people who are trying to figure out their way in the world, despite being clueless. So that's what the book's all about, and that's what inspired me to write this.
Yeah. I think becoming or the journey from being clueless to having some sort of clue is an interesting one, but it can also be fairly unnerving. And I think your book does a really good job of explaining the phases. Do you mind walking us through, perhaps from your own life or the lives of people you observed, what are
Yeah.
the various phases of stumbling on clarity?
Yeah. So the book's divided into four parts. First is FOMO, then it is SOBO, then JOLO, and MOFO. So we start off, our lives we feeling, FOMO, which can be from, which could be self-inflicted, or it could be your family, or it could be from your college, wherever, right? Or the glorified representations on social media. We all live in some sort of anxiety, wanting to do more without knowing what it is. So so i say so I tell people that, hey, if you're in that FOMO state and you don't know what to do next, and you all you can do is move forward, looking for the next opportunity that really excites you. So
Hmm.
you basically go in search of better options or better opportunities for
Hmm.
yourself. That's what is SOBO, which is in search of better opportunities. And then once you're there, you realize there are 100 things that's going wrong, right? Because the glass always looks greener on the other side, but when you're actually on the other side, you realize that everybody is tackling their own shit. They have their own mess, own battles. Like, for example, fear of doing something for the first time. You may have done it yourself as an entrepreneur. There's so many things, right? And there's so much more anxieties that come. But you know what, at the end of it, all of us want that extraordinary life, and then we really need to get out of that comfort zone and navigate through this whole phase of being in sobo. And then I talk about jolo after this, which is the joy of letting go. Letting go of all the inhibitions, fears that is really really holding you back from trying something for the first time. For example, you may always start a project or an experiment which is really small, but then you would be like, oh, who cares about this? No one cares about this. I'm not going to
Hmm.
become an overnight sensation with this. Or you might have imposter syndrome, or you might be lying to yourself saying, oh no, I don't think I have time to do this over the weekends. I'm too busy or whatever, right? I mean, all these lies that we are telling ourselves, which is really holding us back, maybe because we fear so many things, right?
Yeah.
And also the belief systems around us, which talks about, oh, how you can't fail, or oh, this might be a big mister, an utter disaster if you do this. And how we actually put so much focus on the end prize, and that too in a negative way, right? That it may not be a prize, and there may be no prize at the end of it, because if you fail or if you make a mistake, and we don't even end up taking that first step forward. So I talk about letting go of all of those inhibitions that's holding you
Hmm.
back. And finally, I talk about MOFO, which is move forward. You're clueless, you're screwed, but all you can do is move forward. Take those tiny steps and hope that all of this comes together. And I talk a lot about building identity capital, which is, you collect different experiences. It could be right from art to theater to traveling solo to exploring the creative side of you. But all you can do is collect these small experiences, which becomes your identity capital, and this identity will start paying off in different way, maybe better opportunities, or maybe you'll end up starting something on your own. But the idea is to put yourself out there and see what's out there. You scratch the surface and see what more you can do and push the envelope. And in this process, I think one of the things, Utkarsh, I think, at least I used to make this mistake, is I would think, okay, if I'm 21, 22, or 25, I've arrived, I'm like a finished product. I didn't ever view myself as a work in progress. I never had that growth mindset saying, this is the skill, this is what I do. I had that fixed mindset of this is who I am. I don't think I'm born with anything else. It took me a lot of time to sort of say that growth actually comes when you are a work in progress, where you're actually constantly learning and reinventing yourself, trying new things. So this is a bit about the four phases in the book.
Yeah. What is identity capital, and how did you coin this phrase?
Oh, no, it's not coined by me. It is coined by, I think, I think her first name is Dr. Meg. And no, it's not coined by me. It's something that she talks a lot
Evangelized by,
about. Sorry.
I can say, let's say, evangelized by you.
Yes. Evangelized by me, for sure. But yeah, she talks generally about building our capital, in the sense that when, say, this weekend you are volunteering somewhere, next weekend you're like interning somewhere else, and each of these experiences become so important. And unfortunately, I think a lot of these things are done only when you're much younger, and I think we stop the process of exploring. As kids, we're like way more experimental, we explore more, and I think we stop exploring. And I think that's why we start feeling stifled, in our 20s or late 20s or early 30s. And so I urge people to do that. And one of the things that I've spoken strongly about in the book, is about a project that I did a couple of years ago, before I wrote the book, called Find Your Slash, which essentially was a community that I found, put together for people who are clueless and didn't know what they want to do in their life. So I said, oh, okay, if you're clueless and you're stuck, just come, and then we'll figure out something together, right?
Hmm.
And it was a fabulous community. And one of the things that I really evangelized there was saying, there's so much of emphasis that is put on one career, one direction, one job or nature of work, that we are all like constantly looking for that one thing to do. And
Yeah.
I think that's why we don't move forward. Like, even I don't think people are getting married today too, right? Because they're looking for that perfect soulmate, everything like that one person, one job, one career. And because the world is an oyster, and you can be anything that you want to be, we also become stifled, right? I mean, we're paralyzed because we can't choose that one thing that we want to do. So that idea of finding one passion or one direction is another reason why we're always stuck and not moving forward, because we're waiting for that one calling. So one thing that I talk a lot about in the book also is that I talk about how it's important that we develop multiple avatars. Like, you should be an artist slash blogger slash musician slash yoga enthusiast, whatever, right? All the slashes, collect all the slashes that you want to be, because to be good at one thing today, you need to have knowledge or skills of five different things or 10 different things, right? So, like, for example, if you want to be a successful wildlife photographer, you need to understand wildlife slash ecology slash environment slash photography slash art. So many forms. So if you don't know what's that one thing, then go be 10 things to begin with, and hopefully you'll figure out what that is at some point in your life, and all these slashes will come together. So this is somewhat related to your question of identity capital. You're collecting identity, building your identity capital by collecting multiple slashes and putting them together, and that will give you a more holistic view. And more than anything, it's exciting. It's always exciting to learn new things.
Yeah. I think you talk about building a portfolio of careers, and this identity capital relates to that concept well. In your life, do you consider yourself a specialist or a generalist, or a bit of both?
No, I'm completely a generalist. I don't think I'm a specialist at all. Far from it, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because being a
Hmm.
generalist sort of gives you more variety, and it's very horizontal in its nature. I think, and being an expert at something gives you more vertical options. I'm definitely a horizontalist, and it's not something that I chose to be, but I think it's by accident that it ended up being that way. So yeah, so
Yeah.
totally enjoying this whole journey of being a generalist.
Yeah, yeah. So when you talk about the portfolio of careers, or when you talk about, say, identity capital, do you think that generalists are at an advantage, or is there a sort of a bias against generalists that, oh, they're interested in too many things, they want to do artist one day, they want to be an actor the other day, a writer, third, and then start their own company? In your experience or while writing the book, have you figured out some ways in which generalists can overcome this bias that might come their way?
I think not at all. I think as long as whatever you pick is not just half baked or quitting in
Hmm.
between. Now that's a no-no, right? I mean, you can't pick up something and then do it for like a year and then move on to something else, right? I mean, you got to see through that journey of whatever that you've picked up. Even to be a generalist, you can't just be a generalist in 3 months or 6 months, right? I mean, there's a certain amount of time and growth or the trajectory that you need to see through. So, and I think there's also like a good generalist and a bad or not so good generalist, right? I mean, as a generalist, you need to be skilled in certain ways, right, for you to leverage whatever knowledge that you have. You still need to have some key strengths. Like, for example, you might be like an amazing salesperson, and if you're good at storytelling, or if you're very imaginative in your ways, then these things always help for you to sell things better, right? So, or
Yeah,
say if you're a networker and love meeting people and connecting with them, but these are very, very soft skills which are very, very important for running a business, which I'm sure you agree with, right? Because a lot of us don't put so much emphasis on these softer elements. So what also matters is, in general, like if you look at even to run a company and so on, right, you need to have like a little bit of knowledge, or for almost from technology to operations, so many things, right? So
hmm,
even having like a little bit of generalist view helps you run an organization or run a department and so on, right? So yes, I think having knowledge is important, but you can't be very complacent. You have to be really good at whatever generalistic approach that you've taken. I think
yeah,
shifting careers is totally fine, because I think
hmm,
each of us have taken something from our previous jobs or previous line of work into our next job. So
yeah,
I don't think it would ever go waste as long as you're able to apply yourself and giving your
hmm,
100% wherever you go.
hmm,
I don't think it should matter.
yeah. Were you clueless at 30?
I was. I was. This was right after I left Inc. and before I started my journey with venture capital. I was, that transition of, oh man, it was so harrowing. That's why I told you I went through these books and all of that. And the worst was when everybody was telling me, oh, you're so smart, you have all the resources, this is easy, you can go figure out, you can do everything, you can go conquer the world. All you need to figure out is, what is your passion, what are you passionate about? And that
Hmm,
question was so difficult.
hmm,
And then I think just like me and other people, right, I mean, what you do is because a lot of times we're looking for answers outside, and as they say, all the answers lie within, right? And we're all looking outside constantly for answers.
right.
And but I think searching for those answers within are tougher, right? It's really, really
Hmm,
tough. And so I'm still clueless about a lot of things, and I'm still a work in progress, going along the way. But what I've learned to do is what keeps your mojo going is uh, picking up some amazing projects, working with some interesting people, and see what happens. You pick up projects that really interest you, and you apply yourself 100% there, and try to make it successful. And even like this. this book, right? I mean, when I'm not a writer, it's not like I was a born writer and I had the gift, but I didn't even think I was going to get a book deal. It started as a side project. I started writing on LinkedIn, writing about startup trends, and I became LinkedIn top voice, and from there on, like, things started rolling for me, right?
Yeah,
And I ended up writing a book, and I think, yeah, we all need to start somewhere. So
yeah.
yeah, so I'm still clueless with a lot of things and figuring out, but I believe in small experiments which have the potential to, really change our lives.
Definitely. So, from the beginning, your words were having some sort of an audience, right? You had an audience, you'd built a community, you'd done a wide range of projects. So, you knew that perhaps the way you write, perhaps what you write about, there is an audience for it. So, that would be step one. But then you are, let's say you're clueless at 30, or you're feeling certain amount of pressure to have figured life out. Are there things that you did around that time which turned out to be huge mistakes in hindsight? And are there things that you did around that time which turned out to be productive assets in shaping the way you are today?
I think so. One thing that really worked for me was I think having conversations with several people, I think that always helps, right? Because you don't know, it's not about, you meeting people to figure out, oh, what job is there and stuff,
Hmm.
right? There's so much of learning that comes with conversations that you can have
Sure.
with people about, generally what you can do in life or what's out there. So what's really, really worked for me is, asking people for help, or just asking, because a lot of us really shy away from asking, thinking, oh, they'll think too small of you, or you're not good enough. We all struggle asking for questions or asking for help, right? And one thing that I've learned is, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you need to raise that hand and ask whatever it is that you need to ask for, any, for introduction or whatever it is that
Yeah.
that you need. So I think that's really worked for me, is that, I've never shied away from asking for help.
Hmm.
And, most unassuming people, or people that I would have never imagined would actually, like, take interest in talking to me or figuring out, are the ones who actually helped me. So
Hmm.
so you never know where luck strikes, and so you need to just ask. So that's one thing that I've really learned. um, in terms of I wouldn't call it mistakes, but there is this fear of, oh, I might just become an utter failure, especially when you're in transition phase, right? You're always thinking, oh my god, it's been 3 months or 6 months, nothing really cool has come, I'm going to miss the boat, I better like jump on anything that comes, right? So that happened a few times in the past. Like, I would just jump on something only because I had this fear that, I'll be left behind or nothing interesting might come along. So, yeah, so I would say that. I think, also because, they talk about delayed gratification or instant gratification,
Yeah,
right? I mean, so you have to be patient. And no, I haven't done that in the past. So, yeah, and I've always chosen easier paths, especially in my 20s.
I see.
So,
Never Capital is starting a career restart program for professionals who are looking to bounce back into the workforce, who might have been forced to take a break willingly or unwillingly. And I think your book will be super helpful to them. So, one, we obviously look forward to having you back during the fellowship. But do you have any advice for people who are restarting their careers or hitting refresh, so to speak? How can they use some of the principles that you've outlined in the book to go about this transition?
so the first thing is, I would say, I would still go back to saying, go meet people. So when I say go meet people, I mean, don't meet the people that you normally meet, right? Go meet random people. It may not even be in your nature of work, right? It could be something that's completely outside of your nature of work or interest area. So it's important that, you have some sort of intellectual stimulation, so you should
Yeah.
broaden your knowledge about generally how do people look at their work and so on. So that is one thing. And then there is this famous creative exercise, which is about how you go about dating yourself.
Hmm.
Where
Tell us more about it.
week the exercise. So
Yeah.
you basically choose you dedicate 2 hours a week to yourself, and you got to impress yourself with the choice that you've made on what you're going to do for those 2 hours. So for example, say you've decided that I'm going to go watch a drama, a famous drama, or it could be you go visit an art museum. So you go look for these different things that you would not normally not do at all, and you just do that. This is again about broadening your scope, because one of the things, I mean, of course, this matters only if you are looking at trying something totally outside of what you've normally done, but you don't know what is it that you want to do. So these are like simple hacks. One is talking to people from different lines of work, and then you go on like small dates with yourself, and you got to really impress yourself with the choice that you've made, right? You got to really enjoy those 2 hours with yourself. And third, I would say travel. There's nothing like travel is the best. I think the kind of experiences and learnings, and more than anything, you get to know so much about yourself itself. And yeah, I have been at least before the pandemic, I've been doing that quite a bit. I think I did that for at least 4 years in a row, and I miss doing that now. But yeah, I think those are few things that people should do. These are easy and fun.
Easy and fun. The 4 stages that you talked about in your book, do you mind going personal and telling us about how each of these 4 stages associate with your life?
Sure. So I think the FOMO stage is where at the end of FOMO stage in the book. So let me tell you, the book starts with me and three of my friends. Okay, we're all going to college, and then we graduate, and we made certain career choices.
Sure.
And how did all of that shape up by the time we're 30? And then me and two of my friends, we're all in this FOMO stage. So, and all three of us
And what's
said,
the
okay,
FOMO
screw
about?
this.
What did you miss out on?
What I missed out on,
Yeah, I mean,
I
what's the FOMO?
think, sorry?
What's the FOMO? What did you think you missed
The
out on?
FOMO was the FOMO was that, oh, I'm having all these lost opportunities in life because I don't know what is it that I want to do. Like for example, I had some cousins who always knew that they wanted to be doctors at the age of 5, right? Like, and they worked through it and went through med school and became doctors, and then they're like totally killing it. And then me, I'm just like still, sipping coffee and thinking out, okay, what is it that I need to do? And, I don't know. And then I would see like some of my other friends, they would say they got into like Stanford, or someone is like 30 under 30. And then I'm like, man, I want to make my mark too, I want to, build my legacy, and, I want to do all of that. And then I don't even know what my starting point is. I don't know what is that line of work where I want to leave my mark. And, that's the kind of FOMO that I had, because I didn't know, I hadn't figured out what is it that I want to base my life's work upon. So
Got
that
it.
was my FOMO.
So that's phase
And the
one.
SOMO, yeah, phase one. And the phase two was mostly around exploring. And I decided that I'm going to go work with several startup accelerators. I said, okay, Inc. gave me an idea of where are ideas really taking shape. And from there on, I said, okay, I'm going to go figure out how can I work with entrepreneurs to understand how do actually these things take off from the ground and so on. So yeah, I started off with accelerators, which is called GSF, which is really, really big back then. And I also did consult with a few startups like InMobi and so on. And when I was working there, I was also trying to get into venture capital, right? And you're meeting people, you're trying to build your network, and that whole process was 1.5 years. It wasn't like, oh, just a few months and then I got lucky, right? You're there, you're meeting people, and then of course you need to do some good work, good credible work for people to take notice or even to recommend you. And yeah, so that whole phase of whatever it is that I had to do, and plus the whole venture capital itself. Okay, one day, okay, finally 500 startups happened, and there were like 100 things that I had to go figure out. There were times that you're ghosted. People are not taking you seriously. There's so many other 100 things that went wrong, right? I mean, your belief systems were really shaken, and so that was a little bit of all the the demons, right? You open the Pandora box because you thought, oh, it's going to be so nice when you're going out there, and then you realize that anywhere you go, it has its own shit, and like you have to deal with it because this is what you want. You wanted something better for yourself, and you have to go through this. There is no way to avoid these things. So yeah, so I talk about getting out of comfort zone and all that it brings, right? And I'm saying it's great. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying is you have to embrace it. You can't avoid it. So that is phase two. And then the phase three is for me has been the joy of letting go. The biggest thing has been I've spoken about something called focus illusion, where we have so much of focus on the end price that we actually don't really enjoy what we have today. And there's something called a happiness loop because we set this milestone saying, okay, I'm going to be happy when I get this job. Oh, I'm going to be happy when I get this promotion. Oh, I'm going to be happy when we keep setting these milestones and associating each of those milestones with happiness, right? And I think and there's nothing wrong with setting milestones, I think, but what's wrong is setting milestones and associating that with our mental well-being or with our happiness or general overall well-being of a person, right? I think that's wrong. And you never take a moment to enjoy what you have now because you're constantly, as human beings, we always want more, so we will never be happy. And what I realized was happiness is not the end destination, right? It's not something that you can work towards, but it's something that's within, and it's a state of mind. And so setting those milestones to be happy based on your career trajectory is uh, not a wise thing to do. So yeah, that's something that I distinctly remember from the Jolo phase personally.
I
And
see.
Mofo, in terms of moving forward, has generally been find your slash, because I worked in that space. I built a community. I did build a community in the past around this. Um, so I'm a big believer of trying multiple things, doing multiple things, and then they all come stronger and stronger. Like even like famous Steve Jobs example, Utkarsh, he did this physics class and calligraphy, and then he came to India and on that solo trip. All these things actually maybe made him the best product manager, the product guy in the world, or best product designer in the world, because so many varied interests. Although he was not a generalist, but having knowledge of so many things, and all of these knowledge, interest areas, experiences coming together actually maybe helps you build better products. You never know,
Yeah,
right? Where all these inspirations come from, where you draw your inspirations from. So yeah,
definitely.
Mofo really talks about moving forward, doing small things that really excite you, especially when you're clueless or stuck.
Yeah, fascinating. Your book is done well. I believe it's one of the best sellers. Congratulations for that. What do you
Thank
did
you.
you expect this kind of reception?
No, it's no, not at all, and it's been very, very good. And I wish there could be more that could have happened. Unfortunately, due to pandemic and offline stores are not functional,
Hmm.
etc. But yeah, I think it's doing pretty well, and I'm really hoping that the momentum continues for the rest of the year.
Hopefully, all network capital people will read it because one, it's going to be part of our curriculum in the Career Restart Fellowship, as I told you. And second is
Oh
that
wow!
this topic resonates with a lot of people. So I'm pretty sure it'll continue to make waves. And just like towards the end, what are you most excited by, and what does the coming 6-8 months look for you?
So I'm most worried, excited about working with people, helping them navigate through their careers and so on. So,
Mhm.
it could be as an investor or it could be as a
Hmm.
community builder, etc. So, one thing that I'm trying to see is how can I really help people through their initial journeys, right? It could be
Hmm.
it could be a micro entrepreneur too, it could be as an investor and so on. So I'm just trying to see how I can build that space.
Hmm.
I think more than anything, what's of course the book and so on, and hopefully hopefully another book or some thoughts around what potentially I can write again. But
Hmm.
otherwise, yeah, I've been generally very active about working with early stage entrepreneurs as well as mentoring them. I'm a part of few organizations,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'll continue to do that. But yeah, I'm still figuring out this year, and hopefully by the end of the year, a few things will take shape.
Congratulations, Shalini, for writing a fabulous book. I hope it continues to make even greater impact than it already has.
Thank you so much, Utkarsh. Thank you, and I'm so glad that we can work together for with the other programs that you're coming up as well. And I hope we can help more people sort of explore their potential, and more than anything, they can do some exciting things along the way.
Definitely. I look forward to that. There are lots of exciting fellowships coming up, and I'm sure that our students would and fellows would love to hear from you. Take care, Shalini, and see you soon.